When I dropped my wife, Grace, when I dropped Grace and Olive off at the airport, I still had a hotel room there at the airport. And I was waiting for Billy to pick me up so Billy and I could drive down to Josh's house. And it was this moment of separation. It was this moment of disorientation that I conceptually know about, but forget what the experience is like until it happens again. The night before, I was very tired and somewhat stressed about all the details of like getting the hotel, the rental car, uh, the next day, like what was happening, meeting you guys in person, and not knowing Billy who was picking me up. And so, like, all these things were happening that it kind of made me wonder if I was even being wise in doing all of this, like sending Grace and Olive back home. Like, I'm just going to be here in Colorado. This is like the first time that I'm leaving the kids. And I seriously was having some questions of like, do I just go home too? Do I like not even do this
Yeah.
because this seems silly that I feel so stressed and I feel like I'm causing stress. Like this is the opposite of what is supposed to be happening with what we're doing. And then I remembered the first night in the RV when my wife and I took this RV adventure, and it was like the same thing. We were questioning everything after we had already like rented out the house, sold our cars, bought an RV. Like everything was packed up, and we're sitting in the RV the first night, just crying, like, what the heck are we doing? Why are we doing this? And like, did we just make a horrible decision? And I start to remember that that's a part of the disorientation that we've talked about in this podcast. Is like I felt very disoriented, not knowing whether or not I was making the right decision. So the next morning, woke up at very early, took Grace and Olive to the airport, and then had some time like alone in the hotel room, which was is a very disorienting place to be. Like they're not the happiest of places. So I spent time like writing and journaling and trying to like express these feelings or identify these feelings that I had. And I identified several. I'm gonna read this real quick just because I feel like this is the place to do that. I didn't expect the emotions to well up like they did when I dropped Grace and Olive off at the security checkpoint this morning. The knot in my throat was the size of a baseball, and tears pooled in my eyes. My chest was ready, diaphragm on the verge of pulsing to keep oxygen flowing as my brain tries to make sense of something my body knows. You love those girls and you don't want to be separated from them. Why would you choose to do this? My eyes water up as I read this again. To my brain, this is a new experience and a disorienting one at that. But it seems as though my body has been here before. And then I've got some moments that my body reminds me of the same feelings. Going to school for the first time, spending a week at camp as a child, spending summers in Florida and college, leaving Oklahoma and moving to Georgia, saying goodbye to my mom for the last time, Grace going to Greece after graduating college and leaving on an RV adventure. The way my body feels right now is not so different than the times above. I'm inclined to say these are even remnant feelings from the bodies of my ancestors. I'm carrying their DNA, their experiences, their stories. I kind of go on from there. Um, that was my wild moment. I'll kind of I'll just leave it at that for now. But my wild moment was the feeling of disorientation. It was the feeling of leaving the known and entering the unknown. And it had less to do with the woods and more to do with uh, choosing to do something that was disorienting, knowing that there's good that comes from doing that.